Welcome back to Bricks and Trips. I know you've been waiting for it for ages, but it's finally here, Winter Village Part 4. I can't wait to show you what's been going on since the last video. I know you've been used to these being like about once a week, but I've been absolutely manic. I've been trying to build this as fast as I can. I've got loads of stuff coming up with work as well, and I just wanted to make sure I got this out to you before everything went haywire ahead of Christmas. So, I know at the moment it looks like there hasn't been masses of progress, but I can assure you there has. First things first, I do owe an apology to all of you. I said in the last video that I was going to try and get this inverted corner building finished for my next vlog. I just haven't had the time. I've been busy with 1,000 other things. And honestly, I don't want to rush this and make it look half finished. I want to make sure that it is really, really accurate to the rest of the sets around the area, and also it feels like it's part of the village itself. What I'm planning on doing with the inverted corner, obviously I want it to have a similar feel as the owl post and honeydukes, but I actually think it's important to change it up slightly for a couple of reasons really. And the first reason's a really obvious one. I don't want it to just look the same in the corner. I want to try and put my own spin on it and to really try and take some inspiration from some other places in Hogsmeade Village itself. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm going to be making a wizarding supply shop in any respect. I'm not going to be making like a broomstick shop or anything like that. I've actually taken a little bit of inspiration from the Hogwarts Legacy video game. A great game, I might add. But what they did in there was to take some of the shops and just make them look slightly dilapidated, like they've fallen out of use, they've fallen out of business, sort of those dark art shops which definitely should have shut down years ago, and they're still shut for a reason. This helps me in a couple of respects. So firstly, it'll mean that it sticks out a little bit. It's a little bit different from the rest of the village. But secondly, it also masks the fact that I'm not the best builder in the world, and there's going to be gaps in that. There's going to be bits which don't quite make sense in the logic and the construction of it, but it's a dilapidated building. It's meant to have a hole there. But whilst I know I promised an update on that, it's not here. It's going to be coming definitely for part 5. You can hold me to that. So instead, we've actually been focusing on a little bit of the landscaping, and we've had some bigger things going on. And I'm actually going to start at the little ice rink that we put in last time. So one of my concerns with this area, and specifically with the positioning of the ice rink, was that it was going to make the whole area really boring, just make it all sort of like white, that opalescent sheen, and it would all get a little bit lost in there. So what I've tried to do is just incorporate a little bit of greenery in the area, as if it's sort of like an overgrown patch. And don't get me wrong, this is not the hardest building techniques in the world. It's literally just the new fern elements from the Rivendell set, with some of the leaf elements and a few wedge plates on there as well, just to sort of give a little bit of elevation, a little bit of depth to the whole scene. And for how simple it was to put together, I'm really happy with how it's come out. I do think I'm probably going to end up putting like a little statuette or something in there. Just going to try and sort of filter through the pieces and see what we can come up with for that space. Maybe something like a hippogriff, which probably isn't accurate to any version of Hogsmeade you've ever seen, but this is my own winter village and it's going to have its own spin to it. And having its own spin to it is exactly what I'm going to be doing right in the back. So you might notice that I've actually started to rip out some of the underlying plate here. I promised my wife, I said, I am not going to obstruct the lamps. Whatever I do, don't worry about it. It's all good. I've got it under control. And oh boy, I did not have it under control. I would love to say that I've spent loads of time creating a custom mock for that space, but I haven't had to. Lego has done it for me. I found a gingerbread house. If anyone's seen the recent Bicester Village and Bullring vlog, you could probably tell how disappointed I was that they didn't have them in stock. As of last weekend, Trafford Centre still had about a dozen of these in stock. I bet that they've gone by now. They're already on back order until the new year on the Lego website. They are definitely going to be hard to get hold of. And you may notice something a little bit strange about my set. It's actually been broken into the two halves, and part of that was a little bit of sensible planning, and part of it was a little bit of not very sensible planning at all. So I had a really great idea originally. So when I put it immediately in front of the lamps, I thought to myself, well, that looks great just as it is, just right there. But it's a shame I can't turn the lamps on. And then I remembered that doors are a thing. So I was like, oh, brilliant, I can use these doors. and they're a faff. They're an absolute faff to get into. So instead, I've just put some tile down under them and just a couple of little studs just on the back to keep them in place. And overall, I think these look absolutely stunning in their final position. I didn't want to lose that symmetry with the Christmas tree and the path to either side of it, but with the gingerbread house spread directly behind the Christmas tree, opened up, it looks so good. And it got me thinking, what else could I do to make this area more impressive? And I said last time that Bullring Christmas market gave me a fantastic idea, and I'm so glad I remembered I had this. One of the free gifts that LEGO gave away last year, and I actually used as part of the Winter Village from 2024. It's a little Winter Village market stall. And when I got this out, I thought, no way, it's never going to fit in that gap. It's far too big. It wasn't. It fits absolutely perfectly. Let me see if I can get it in with one hand without dropping it. And once I've got it in there, doesn't it look an absolute treat? I think it finishes off the middle of this village so well. And I did end up with this small gap behind it, and I wasn't 100% sure what I was going to do with it. I've ended up mainly just tiling it off, just to give an impression that loads of people have walked behind there. Obviously, I'll be able to get like a shopkeeper in the way, but it also made a tiny little mini build for behind there as well. And it's only super simple, using some of the textured 2x2 bricks, just to give the impression that there's loads of cardboard boxes behind there, loads of wrapping for the presents. I think it looks really effective and it fills that gap so nicely, especially under the street lamp. So overall, the middle of my winter village is pretty much complete. I definitely want to focus in this area a little bit. I don't know if I'm going to add more greenery to that space, or I might just make it a little bit like a snowbank, but there's definitely a little bit more of something to be done there yet. And as we move over to the left-hand side, there's not been massive work around sort of the 3 broomsticks. I've still got to finish off all the walls in this area, but I've been really trying not to build those up until I knew exactly what I was doing with the front, and also with the Hogs Head, which I told you I've been building. It's not quite finished, but it's nearly there. And here it is so far. I've only got about 2 bags left to go, but I didn't want to leave this video out for any longer. And I think this is probably the second best looking part of the set. I mean, if you just put it next to the 3 broomsticks just for a moment, you don't get quite the same scale that building gives to you. But I still think it works really well, and with sort of the dark bluish grey and the red on the front of the build, I think it looks really effective, especially when it's still not quite complete. I've loved all the interior builds on this one. I think interior-wise, this is my favourite of the 3 models so far, especially with Zonkos. I think some of these are really funny in here, with the dung bombs and the flamingo flames. Honestly, I think this set is probably my favourite. And I'm really glad to be able to say that, because some of the interiors with the other 2 buildings have not quite been as good as I was expecting, but this one, everything feels like it's in the place that it should be, and it's perfect for what it needs to be. Of course, this is going to live right next to the 3 broomsticks on here. Let me see if I can get this in. There we go, I'll just place it down onto a couple of studs that I've got free. And you may have already noticed some of the rock work that started up the side. So if I just peel this off for a second, I had a big black window to cover up. I had no idea when I was building this, but apparently this is the secret entrance that they use in the Hogs Head as part of the movies. And I had to find a way of covering that up. Thankfully, I had some of these big, dark bluish grey rock panels, which covers it up just about perfectly, and it blends in really nice with the new entryway as well. And this is probably the part of the Winter Village which has honestly had the most work in the last couple of weeks, so I've been really trying to focus on getting this to look like a main entrance to the village. And if we just grab Cornelius Fudge out of the way for a moment, you'll see there is an awful lot of rock work going on under here. Of course, last time we just got the pathway and the gates underway, but now with this big arch right over the top of it with some of these sort of gold vine-like elements, I think it looks really effective. There is still a little bit of work to do just to try and blend in the gates themselves a little bit, but honestly I'm really happy with how this has turned out again. Yes, I could potentially do more to fill this gap here, but I don't think it really needs it, and I don't want to block the views to the Hogs Head as well, because the most important thing to my winter village is the actual buildings in it. And this is actually one of the few moments where I'm dipping into some pieces that I didn't just pick up off the pick and build wall. And maybe about 12 or 18 months ago, I bought a load of parts. It was going to try and be like a sort of like a moon landing area with the space roller coaster, and then obviously with Darth Vader or Anakin versus Obi-Wan. So I picked up hundreds of these dark grey and light grey, sort of the angled pieces, the 1x2s, the 1x3s, the 2x2s, the 2x3s, 2x4s, all sorts of different sizes, and I'd never used them. And I've been meaning to use them for something in the Winter Village or in the sort of the main theme park for ages and ages, and just haven't had the chance to up until now. And I think this just finishes off this area of the Winter Village so nicely. I've still got to do a little bit of work under here, just under Aberforth Dumbledore. I need to get rid of those bricks. I really hate how that looks. I know I've got the parts in my inventory, certainly for the bricks. Tiles might be a little bit more hard to come by, but either way, we'll get that covered up and that'll be disappearing before too long. And that is where we've got to in the last 2 weeks. I've got so many more ideas that I want to do in this space, but honestly, it's looking so full on here already, and I don't want to detract from what's already there. So I think that part 5 may be the last update on the Winter Village for this year. Certainly in terms of building anyway. I've just got no more space on there. I think if I wanted to build anything new, I'd have to get into ordering some parts because everything's going to be sort of the same colours, the same style otherwise. So watch out for part 5 coming soon. I'm hoping to get that out within the next week or so, try and get it certainly up before sort of the early parts of December. And in that, we'll be finishing off the inverted corner, we'll be finishing off all the pathways, we'll be trying to make sure all that stone wall looks great as well, make sure it really fits the space, and also cleaning up any of the little bits that I've probably missed. And more than likely, at the end of part 5, I'll be taking all the minifigures and I'll be starting to place them in some scenes across the whole village. That's honestly one of my favourite things to do for all of my LEGO areas. It just brings it to life. Of course, if you've enjoyed part 4, please go back and watch parts 1, 2 and 3. They're all great. They give a little bit of insight into each of the areas that we've been building up. And obviously part 5 will be coming soon, so don't forget to hit the subscribe button for that. If there's anything that you think that I should add to the city, even if it's ideas for little scenes, drop me a comment down below. I'd love to know what your thoughts on this are. But for part 4, that's everything we've got. So thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye.